Welcome back. This week we're going to go with a Sparkle Minnow. Not long after I started doing these videos, probably close to 2 years ago now, my buddy Jeff down in Colorado asked me to do this, asked me to do a video on Sparkle Minnow. I'm finally getting around to it, Jeff. Took me a little while. I'm going to go with full disclosure on this one and let you know that I have never fished a Sparkle Minnow. Matter of fact, I've only tied one in my life. This one right here, I just did it a couple of minutes ago just to make sure that I wasn't going to screw it up too much. But just not something I really fish that much these days. The single hooked woolly bugger variations, just not something I really fish a whole lot these days. So I mean, I never really got into tying these, but there's definitely a lot of popularity with them. There's guys on the mow that swear by them. They're after those rainbows, the funny colored fish. I prefer the brown trout, so I stay away from the Sparkle Minnows, but they are an effective pattern and really quick tie. So we'll go ahead and get right into it and get started on this. So the hook that I'm going to be using, this is an MFC 7008 size 4. It's a 4X long, just basic downline streamer hook. And then we're going to have a just brass bead in, I think this is black nickel. I don't think it's the pure black. But whatever you decide to use, there's pretty much any color combination possible that you want to use with this. Anything goes, really. So you find something you like, or something that you build some confidence in, have at it. I'll find my junk scissors here, and then this is 35 thousandths lead wire I'm going to throw on here. And this is more so, as always, just to get my, just to secure my cone head. And then I'm going to throw that in there with a little bit of zap, just to keep that in place, keep everything from shifting around on me. And go ahead and get started with the gel spun. Get a little bit of thread over top of that. Just open loop this back to where we're going to start putting our tail in. And this is same as always, right where the barb starts its ascent. That's where you want to leave off with your thread, just as a reference point. I'm going to speak to the Marabou that we're going to use on this one real quick. This is a 3-toned tail, so I'm going to go with cream on the bottom, purple in the center, and then some black over top. When I start out on this one, this is going to be like the classic blood quill, really kind of sparse. You can see right there. And then as I progress up, I'm going to get a little bit thicker. The fibers are going to be a little bit more dense. You can see on that one there, I mean, it's a little bit more than what I'm going to be working with on the cream. And then as I get to the top, this is just a really one that I would really use for an overwing. But it's got a little bit more bulk, and it's got a little bit more material in there, and it's just going to fill out some more. You can even go with woolly bugger Marabou on that one if you want to, and that would be perfectly fine. But I'm just going to transition with this one from bottom to top. And like I said, I mean, it's not really necessary at all. Just something that I'm going to do with this, being that it's 3-toned. Now, because we're going to be putting in 3 stacks of Marabou, make sure that you peel this stuff back. And I just actually peeled this off. Don't go trying to use this entire thing and just having a big clump on there. I don't recommend ever doing that, because it's really tough to get a good secure wrap down your material cinched to the hook. And like I was saying, especially because you're going to have 3 stacks here, it's going to have, it will rotate on you if you go using the entire clump here. So just make sure that you're working with only the material that's going to be incorporated in your tail. Don't go having that extra stuff. Get some good secure wraps, and you can see, I mean, that first one right there, there's no rotating that. It's not going to go anywhere. And you want to start with a good base as you go forward, because we're putting 2 more plumes on there, and if your base is unstable, the rest of the tail's just going to be all over the place, and it's not going to work out for you. So I'm going to go with 2 different stacks of Krystal Flash on this one. The first one is going to be 2 strands doubled over. This is just a copper and blue. You can get that in the frame there. There's the copper and blue, kind of has a neat little look to it. But like I was saying earlier, anything goes on these patterns, so whatever color combination you want to go with, have at it. This is just happened to be what I picked up. I kind of eyeballed everything, looked at it, I was like, yeah, it should look pretty decent, and that's what I'm going to go with. So it turned out alright. Looks alright. But we're going to go 4 strands on my side, run your thread up a little bit, 4 strands to the camera side, and we'll get that tied in. I'm going to leave this Krystal Flash a little bit longer than the Marabou tail. Normally when I put the Flashabou in on the tail for the internal flash, I keep that the length of the tail or shorter, but this stuff I'm going to keep a little bit longer. Like I was saying earlier with the Marabou, don't just grab this whole clump and throw this in. One, your tail looks sloppy because you have short fibers in there along with the ones. You want everything about to length, nice and even. Just peel all this stuff back. That's less bulk that you have to try, that your thread has to fight through to get a good secure wrap on this hook. And you don't really lose anything either. I mean, I think it looks 10 times better when you actually do this right. Take the time to peel that stuff back. We'll lay this over, same length as the white, slightly longer if you want. Start, get a good pinch anchor wrap, and then tighten this stuff down on your way back. Take that. I'm going to cut that Krystal Flash just a little bit. It's slightly longer than I would like it. And then you see, like when I'm taking this excess, when I'm building this bulk here, I'm just going right up to where I left off with that lead wire. And it's just going to help that transition slightly. There, that's a little better. It was a little long for my liking, so we'll just take and give it a quick trim. Next up, we're going to take some black Krystal Flash. Same thing. I'm going to double this over. 4 on my side, 4 on the camera. Wet this down a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier to work with. Try and get that length about right. Couple of wraps. Double it over, go on the camera side. And a quick trim and we're off and running. Last thing we're going to do for the tail is we're going to put in this black plume of Marabou, and like I was saying earlier, this is the thickest one. And it's borderline woolly bugger Marabou, but this is from a blood quill pack and what I would typically use for my overwings on the Tenet 2s, Peanut Envies, you know, circus peanuts, all of that stuff. So just a little bit thicker and a little more fibers throughout. Now make sure you get good secure wraps, and then once again we're taking this right up to where we left off with the lead wire. Now you'll see as I take my fingers right here and try and rotate that tail, it's not going anywhere. And that's just because, you know, we didn't try to tie in the entire plume. We peeled the stuff off, we took our time, did it right, and we have a nice secure tail. Now what I'm going to do, and this step right here is completely optional, and I want to shorten that up a little bit. What I'm going to do with this one is just make a little pearl belly, and I'm going to set this one off to the side, this first dubbing loop that I tie in, and it can get a little bit tricky, especially when we use the rotary function. Keep that loop a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to make a second loop right here, and this is going to be for my body. And I'm going to take that all the way up to the bead. I'm going to get my dubbing loop tool and set that off to the side while I ramble on a little bit about different bodies that you can use. If you're tying a lot of these, and I'm going to zoom out while I talk through this a little bit and explain a few things. If you're tying a lot of these, MFC sells actual Sparkle Minnow brushes, and I absolutely recommend those. It makes it a lot quicker, a lot more efficient, and it's a lot easier to tie. I mean, all you do is you tie it in. It's just a brush. I have something around here. I mean, pretty much everybody's seen brushes. Oh, somewhere or another I actually have a brush. Here we go. This is just craft fur, and it's got some sparkle in it, but I mean, there's your brush. You tie this in, boom, you just twist it around there, and you get the nice body effect that you're looking for. And it's really quick. You don't have to mess around with dubbing loops or anything like that. But I haven't fully embraced the brush world just yet. I'll probably start messing around with them a little bit once I get some of the production stuff out of the way. Start looking at some new patterns and, you know, speeding things up a little bit. But back into the body on this one, you can use a wide variety of materials on this one. I think the first one, originally this one was like Wings and Flash was the body material. A lot of people you'll see use like the angel hair dub or whatever that is, or we might actually have some of it here. This is the Larva Lace Angel Dub in green. I haven't worked with this a whole lot, but it's basically the same thing as this ice dub. With the ice dub, there are a couple of different types, and it's all just labeled ice dub. This is silver holographic. I use that one a lot on the necklaces. That was Kelly's pattern there. That's what he used along with just regular silver. He threw the two of them in there together and kind of gave it a neat little body look. But then you have the Hare's Ice Dub as well. This Hare's Ice Dub, and we'll zoom back in so I can explain the differences on this. The Hare's Ice Dub on this, it doesn't have the really long fibers as you can see right there. Those probably average like a ½ inch to an inch at the most, and then it has a lot of actual hare's ear mixed up dubbing in there. I wouldn't recommend using this at all. I mean, your body's gonna be like pencil thin and not really as good as it could be. The regular ice dub that you see a lot, this is the same thing, really, minus the hare's ear. But then you go with this silver holographic, and this is the stuff that you're really after. What this looks like, and it's really fine too. It's a lot more fine than Flashabou. It looks like it's just chopped up Flashabou, and this is probably an inch to, I'd say some of them probably 2 inches, these fibers. The individual fibers are probably 2 inches, and that's really the range that you're looking for, the 1.5 to 2 inches, and it'll give you that nice picked out body that you're looking for, and gives you that nice full body as well. So I'm going to get rid of some of this mess here and not waste any material. Get in there. I'll get that out of the way, and then I'm going to get into finishing this fly off. What I picked here is just I don't know, this is some Spirit River. I've probably had this stuff for about 20 years. It's light bright rainbow, and these are like 4 to 6 inch strands, and I just cut them into that 2 inch length that I'm looking for, and this is what I wind up with right there. Same thing, this is really nice light fiber. It's thin. You don't want something that's like Flashaboo width. It'll be tough to really make a clean body on this. So you want that really thin, light material. And then all I'm going to do is just throw this into my dubbing loop. I'm not worrying about taper on this one because I want the entire thing about the same width throughout. And I'm going to move this up as close to the hook as I can and just give this a quick spin. I'm holding on to it with my left hand while I'm spinning the tool, and then I'm going to let go, and you can see that stuff just wrap right around. Gives you that nice length of fibers that you're after. And I don't spin these, well, here I am talking like I tie these all the time. When I did the one that I just tied, I don't spin these really tight. I like keeping these materials to where I'm able to manipulate and move these around. And we're going to use the rotary function on this. I'm going to go pretty slow because I don't want this other loop to get trapped. And then also, as I'm working through this, I'm just going to make like 1 or 2 wraps. I'm going to pick this material out. Make sure that I have this nice picked out body. And I'm going to work my way forward. Just picking this out as I go. Every second or third wrap, continuing to pick this out, and then I anchor this stuff down. Just gives you a little bit more security on your body. Makes things nice and sturdy. And I'm going to pick that out again. Work this up to the eye, or work that right up to my cone head. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space there. I'm not going to cram that in just yet. I'm going to throw a little bit in there after the fact. And that probably got a little long on me. I can always just take and run my scissors right through this if you want. And that's the beauty about buying those brushes too. I mean, they're at a predetermined length already. There's no guesswork at all. You just take that stuff, throw it on the hook, and just rip it on back there, and you're good to go. So I'm just going to run my scissors through there, get it somewhat to the length I want. If you're doing the dubbing loops like I just did and not using the brush, go longer. You can always cut it. You can't add material once it's already on there. And I'm going to take just a couple of secure wraps right there. Now I'm going to go back to this one, this dubbing loop that we formed earlier that cooperated really nicely and stayed out of our way. I'm going to peel this stuff up just out of my way. That way the underbody or the belly of this fly is going to be clear. I'm going to be able to get this material in here. If you look at just about any bait fish or sculpin, even crayfish for that matter, you look at the underside, most everything out there is pearl or like a tannish, off-white color, and this is going to go right along the line with what we have in this tail. And to do this, we're just going to take some pearl ice dub and form a quick, we're just going to put this in our dubbing loop. Once again, not really worrying about taper too awful much on this one. I'm going to throw this in here, and before I spin this one, work your material as close to the hook as possible. Get a quick turn I'm going to wind up trapping a couple of these fibers here. Get a quick turn, and then before you really tighten this up, I'm going to bring this up and push this material down so it's as close to my hook as I can get, and I'm not going to have a gap. And then once again, just clear these fibers here. We're going to run this underneath, and we're keeping this one pretty loose again. I'm not really tightening down too awful much with this when I did that loop, because I want to be able to pick this stuff out before or after I secure it. So I got that nice little pearl body or pearl belly on the bottom section, and it's nice and secure, nice and tight, not really going anywhere. I'm going to, I thought I had my brush around here. I'm just going to pick this stuff out. Try and make that pearl stand out just a little bit more. Peel those fibers down and around it. And I should have a bodkin around here somewhere. And a couple fibers that are trapped in there that I just want to free up a little bit, add to my body, add to the bulk a little. And then you can see I have this little gap right there. The last thing that I'm going to do to finish this fly off is take some more of this rainbow colored angel hair, or whatever this stuff is. I don't even think it really had a name. Well, it probably wasn't used too awful much back in the day. Where did I put it? Here we go. And I'll kind of walk through what I did with this originally. You'll be able to see there's probably 4 to 6 inches on the length of the material. And I just kind of took this stuff, went through with my scissors, gave it one trim, doubled it back over, took my scissors again, gave it a trim, getting rid of some of the junk that's in there. And then I'm just going to even this up right there. Like I said, keep it longer to begin with, that way you can always trim it after the fact. And then I'm just going to spread these fibers out again, get everything just about how I want it. Quick spin. There we go. And like I said, not real tight on this dubbing loop. Get a quick anchor, and I got one more wrap here, and this is really going to sink in to that cone head. You want that material actually going back toward the cone head, that way you're not going to have an empty space there and it's not going to wiggle around on you, or you're just not going to have a gap, basically. Look like a nice clean pattern there. And we'll go ahead and whip finish. I'm not going to glue it or anything. I usually don't glue at all on my streamers. Nymphs and stuff like that. I'll throw some glue on there. We'll just run this through here, pick this stuff out a little bit, and then you can see as we turn this on the underneath side, there's that nice pearl belly under there. As you're swimming this thing, it's going to give that pearl effect that you're looking for on all the bait fish and sculpins or whatever you're trying to imitate. One last thing that we'll do on this, and I swear I'm going to be done, is I'm just going to take my black marker and go right over the top of this. I'm just going to tone the top down. And like I said, this is omittable as well. I'm just going to kind of give a little bit of a different effect to that top there. You can kind of see it's a little bit darker, and then you got the sparkle, and the pearl on the bottom kind of flows in line with what we have going on the tail. But there you have it. There is the Sparkle Minnow. If I fish this thing, I will let you guys know. Don't tell my buddy Mike, he'll give me hell for a long time. But Jeff, sorry it took me so long to get to this one. We finally did get to it. But if you guys have any questions or comments on it, leave them with me, and as always, I'll get back to you. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.